Ramon, the original luchador grappler with crazy mobility and off-the-wall shenanigans. He is a unique grab-oriented character that can be all over the place and can confuse the opponents with his flashy moves. His game plan mainly involves getting close enough to be a threat with his command grabs, jump C cross-up, and run feints. Unlike traditional grapplers, Ramon's main grab, in my opinion, is his running somersault grab. It's what makes people twitchy and try to jump away, because it's basically a run animation that becomes a throw if you stay put. It is essential in Ramon's offense with run feints and hop C pressure, which keep the opponent guessing on when they should be blocking or trying to avoid the somersault grab. He does have a traditional command grab as well, which also helps him in opening people up. In my personal opinion, Ramon shines in the second spot, mainly because his damage becomes scary once he has some meter to spend, and his conversions meterless are on the low side. Let's start with his jump normals, as they are a big part of his game plan, mainly jump C and jump CD. Jump C is a splash attack and it has a beefy hitbox, decent speed, and it can cross up really well. It's not on the same level as it was before, but it's still really good in crossing up. Jump D is a solid jump in to cover the ranges that jump C won't reach. So if you want something that hits a bit deeper, as Ramon hits with his foot instead of his belly, you use jump D instead. And then the other important air normal is jump CD. This one is for air-to-air and to start pressure. It's an essential tool for Ramon. Just keep in mind that it does not hit crouching opponents unless you do it really late, so it's very open to a low-profile anti-air. He has solid pokes all around, but they're pretty slow and have somewhat awkward angles. You'll need to learn how to use them properly to be able to fight in the mid-range. His pokes are cr.B, cr.C, and crouch-C, and his CD kind of. cr.B is better overall as it's quicker and it can be used as a check, but that's all you get out of it as it's not cancelable into anything outside of max mode. cr.C covers basically the same range and angle as cr.B, but it's a bit more rewarding because it's a heavy. This also is not cancelable into anything outside of max mode. Crouch C is his other main poke, but I hesitate to call this a poke because it's so open to hops. It has good range and it can lead into a lot of good stuff, but because of its really low angle, the opponents will easily go over it. But yeah, it is good if it connects. Its main use is usually in pressure with his run feints, as you can cancel it into his command normal, the down forward D, and go into other stuff. He got a new CD in this game, and it can be used as a poke, but it's really slow. So chances are if you're going to use this at all, you're going to be using the Shatter Strike version, which is much faster and it has the armor to help it out. Its main use though is when you whiff cancel it into specials or the run grab just before it actually connects. For anti-airs, he has cr.A, cr.D, and jump CD. cr.A is an amazing poke. It's really quick, it's actually Ramon's fastest normal, and you can use it as a poke, as an anti-air, or as a check. Its main weakness is that if the opponent is right above your head, you'll get the close A, which is not nearly as good as it doesn't have that chop arc, which is not nearly as good as his cr.A. cr.D is pretty slow and it misses crouchers at max range, but once it's out it can anti-air a lot of stuff. In the air, jump CD should be able to take care of almost everything. It's really fast for a jump CD and it has excellent horizontal range. Just don't get too crazy with this because the opponent can just hit you with a low as soon as you land, as it's really hard to hit crouching opponents with it. Jump B can be useful as a quicker option to air, but it has a lot less range. As we said earlier, somersault is one of his main tools. This is a running grab where if the opponent didn't jump away or interrupt you with an attack, they will get grabbed. Its threat is what makes Ramon scary and why people would jump away or try to press buttons any chance they get. You can stop at any point with the roll input A+B together to feint your opponent or to stay safe if they jump away from the grab attempt. It's best to use this in spots where people would expect a button, so they try to block. So like after block strings or after a jump in with a small delay. The EX somersault is insanely fast. This move alone, in my opinion, makes Ramon worth putting second over first. This goes full screen and it's much faster than the regular version, so it's an insanely good check so that people will always be wary of Ramon on the ground. If you have half a bar, just go for it. Half circle forward and punch is also important. This is a quick grab, not one frame, but it's pretty quick for traditional grappler action. This is useful for punishes and in his offense, and it can be good if you're cornered because it switches sides. The A version and the EX version are both invincible. This is Ramon's main reversal, sadly, which means that if the opponent knows the matchup, they know that if they approach you from the air, Ramon doesn't really have much to contest it. The C version is not invincible and it's a bit slower, so it can be used in certain tick throw setups. The EX version is invincible and it's a one frame grab, and it also leaves the opponent closer so you can get an OTG after it. Unlike a lot of command grabs in this game, Ramon cannot cancel his into more damage, so EX grab into the OTG is the max you'll get from the grab. Now we're going to Tiger Road. This is a signature move of his. This is where Ramon starts running backwards towards the edge of the screen and jumps off of it. If you do it raw, you will bounce off the wall and fall on his face. It does a hit if they're close enough and it hits overhead, but this is basically useless, as it's in a range where the opponent could have just hit you before you got to the wall. So this is if you do it raw. You have two different options to stop before reaching the wall. Like the somersault, if you hit the roll input A plus B together, Ramon will stop in his spot. This can be used to build meter and to feint your opponents. The other option is up forward. This will cancel the run into a backflip. Overall, it's pretty pointless, but in this game it's either the most evasive move in the whole game or it has actual invincibility frames, as it avoids a lot of different stuff that it really shouldn't. In 14, its main use was to go over fireballs if they were too close for you to do a regular break, but in this game it seems that you can use it on the opponent's wake up to avoid their reversals, but it's easier said than done. Now, assuming you didn't cancel it and you don't want to do the awful faceplant off the wall, he has two other options. When you hit the wall, you press kick, and this is a flying cross chop that'll go almost full screen. This is mainly used to go over fireballs. It does a soft knockdown and it's not safe on block. And then you have quarter circle forward and punch, force of will. This is a flying body splash that goes into a grab animation if it connects, and it goes around half screen. It can also grab airborne opponents if they were in its path. In spite of what it looks like, this move is not actually a grab. It's basically an unblockable attack that goes into a grab animation. Why the distinction is important is that this means they can just roll and avoid this move. If it was an actual grab, it would have caught the roll anyway. You can also avoid this move by simply crouching. You can pick up after this move with down down and either punch button. The EX Tiger Road is the only version, in my opinion, that you should be using at all, as the regular Tiger Road is just bait. It's not as good as you think it might be. The EX though is worth it. He's projectile invincible during the home run backwards, and he also has upper body invul, so he can go through a lot of stuff. Now this has a lot of potential in avoiding different things and going through zoning, but because you're running backwards, that means the closer you are to your opponent, the longer the wind up for the moves are. But you can also do the A plus B feint and keep the invincibility to go through the certain fireballs, but you'll need to experiment and lab a bit in how you can use this in matches. The follow-ups from the EX version are a bit different. For example, the cross chop with kick now goes full screen and is projectile invincible. And the raw faceplant, it now will try to track wherever the opponent is. And it's really fast, going in a really crazy arc that will avoid a lot of stuff. The first couple of times the opponent will see this, they will get hit by it every time. The main buff here is the Fireball and Punch, the Force of Will. This move now basically loses both weaknesses it had before. It will now go full screen, and it will catch crouching opponents as well. And same as the regular version, you can do the down down and punch after and cancel into super for big damage. Now, in theory, I've seen a lot of people say this move is amazing, but like the regular version, you can just roll through it, and if you jump back as soon as Ramon hits the wall, he will completely miss, as he will be tracking your previous location. And you can also intercept this with an attack. This is a bit riskier, as if you mistime it, you will get grabbed. So yeah, jump back or roll are the safest options to avoid this. And then Ramon is in recovery for a long time, and you can punish him for free. Now, this pickup option is available off of Force of Will and a couple other moves, so we'll go through it now so that I don't have to explain it every time. After specific moves, mainly the Tiger Road follow-up, Force of Will, forward A, his overhead, down down on both punches, and his Sobat Kick. After these moves, you can pick up the opponent with down down A and down down C, and they both do different things. Down down on A will pick them up and leave them standing, and you're both around even frame-wise. But it can also be cancelled into supers, mainly his grab super or his EX off-the-wall super, the El Diablo, or even his Climax. This is where a lot of Ramon's damage comes from. And then the other follow-up, down down and C, This will knock the opponent backwards, and it's a soft knockdown. This can be used for corner carry, and in the corner you can combo after it with a light normal or cl.C, and you can go into a lot of shenanigans from this. Yeah, keep in mind that if you combo into the forward A, or if you do Birds of Paradise, the down and both punches attack as an OTG, you cannot do the pickup after. With that done, let's go to the next move, Sobat Kick. This is a Dragon Punch motion with kick, and this is the moneymaker damage-wise. You can combo into the light version from his heavy attacks, and gameplay-wise, it's basically a flashy Rekka. On hit, you can do DP and kick again for a follow-up slash, and then you can do the down and punch pickup off of it. It's not safe on block, but it has a bit of pushback, so you might be fine. The heavy version is noticeably slower, but it hits overhead, so it can be used in a couple of kind of gimmicky mix-ups, but its animation is not as obvious as it might seem, so you can throw people off with the overhead every now and then. You cannot combo into this move outside of EX Sobat. This move is a lot faster than both versions as it combos from his light attacks, and it causes a crumple. The most common follow-up after the crumple is usually the heavy Sobat. This is a very important move in his toolset, especially that in places like the corner, this is the only way you can combo the opponent and still keep them in the corner. And now we go to KoF Quebec. This is a very odd move. Its main use is for cancelling normals to stay safe or plus. Holding the button will make Ramon walk back and forth until you let go. The A version is an actual attack, and Ramon will do a leaping dropkick as soon as you let go. This is very unsafe on block, but it can anti-air if used early enough, as it hits a pretty high angle and it can cover a lot of spots that people will try to jump away from Ramon's pressure. On counter hit, it causes a wall stick, and you can get the EX El Diablo super after, or even other stuff depending on the screen spacing. Now this is for the light version. The heavy version is just the walk. He doesn't do a dropkick after, he doesn't do anything else. As soon as you let go, he just stops moving. In pressure, you can cancel into it and you can stay safe or even plus off of heavy attacks. In pressure, you can do stuff like this. It can also be used as a pseudo back run, as you can cancel it at any point and it covers distance faster than his backdash. So yeah, understanding how to use this move and the different options it can give you in your pressure and in your mobility is very important for Ramon. In pressure, it can be used in a lot of different spots to make the opponent second guess whether you're gonna keep going, when you're gonna stop, if you did the light or heavy version so that they can jump away or try to interrupt. It can play a lot of mind games with your opponent. This move has no EX version and it does not build any meter. And then lastly, there's his knee drop. Down and both punches. Ramon leaps in the air and goes down with a knee drop that can cross up, and it can be very tricky on wake up. Even when I'm doing this move, a lot of times I have no idea what side Ramon will actually hit, so it can be very ambiguous. But this is very open to rolls, and if they do happen to block correctly, it is very unsafe on block. This can also be picked up after with down and punch, if it hits normally, as it can also hit OTG. And if you do hit it as an OTG, you cannot do the pickup after it. You can hit the OTG follow-up after a couple of different options. The OTG also leads to a very easy safe jump, so you basically always want to go for it if you can. Forward A is a slow overhead that knocks down. This can lead to good damage, as like we said before, you can follow it up with down and punch. If you cancel into it, it's no longer an overhead and you cannot pick up after it, but it's special cancelable this way, so you can get the knee drop OTG after it. And now his supers. His grab super, Tiger Spin, is a one frame command grab, and it's invincible. This can also be used as a reversal, but your regular half circle forward in A does the same thing with no meter. This switches sides just like his regular command grab. The EX version does 3 flips instead of 1, so it does a lot more damage and it has more range. And then El Diablo is his other super. Ramon runs all the way to the wall during the super freeze and does a flying chop full screen. It can be used to punish projectiles with slow recovery and meaties with a lot of recovery, especially if your back is close to the wall. Ramon himself, after he flies off the screen, is not projectile invincible. Overall, the regular version is very situational. You won't be seeing this much at all. Its best use is probably off of anti-air Shatter Strike. The EX version, however, is much quicker and you'll be using this a lot. As in this version, time basically stops while Ramon runs back to the wall and jumps off of it. So you can combo into it easier, and it punishes a lot of things, and it's actually invincible. And as a small note, this is the only super that will keep the opponent in the corner. The grab super and Ramon's Climax will leave the opponent mid-screen. His Climax is a running grab similar to his somersault. Overall, not worth the extra bar compared to the EX Diablo Super, unless it will kill. It has a lot of invincibility at the start. Combo-wise, Ramon is very straightforward. You should be able to learn like 3 or 4 combos with him and you'll be good to go. So overall, he is a rushdown character with a very unorthodox style. He's mainly grab focused, but with a sprinkle of feint cancel pressure and confusing your opponent with wall jumps and other gimmicks. He's usually considered difficult, but it's mainly awkwardness, as a good number of his moves are weird or have very niche uses. But once you understand how they work and how his game flow is supposed to look like, he is a very fun and fluid character that can be very rewarding. But it's a bumpy ride to figuring out how his neutral works and the uses of his moves sometimes. And like before, the rest of the video is just going to be tips and extra info regarding the character and a few combos that are good to know about. Especially with Ramon, I doubt you're gonna need much else combo-wise outside of these. And that should do it. Peace!